So I'm not, I mean, Jeff was wild, a wild guy. I mean, he was even as an evangelist, he was like, oh man, you get your face on.
No, no, totally. I mean, like I said, I
But
mean,
let me tell you about his story. When he was in hell with us in San Diego, he went to a church. This is before Jesus Christ Superstar. And he had his there. And he goes to a Pentecostal church in San Diego. And he goes to church and he's there. And the pastor says, whoever wants to accept Jesus, just come forward and bow at the altar and lead you to the Lord. Well, Jeff goes down the aisle, goes towards the pastor, and the pastor goes, what are you doing here? He goes, I want to accept Jesus. And he says, you cut your hair, come back next week, and then we'll see if you want to accept Jesus.
all right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Atheists Having Cocktails with Christians. I'm very fortunate tonight to sit down with Les Carlsen, amazing vocalist from legendary Christian band BLOODGOOD. And thank you so much for accepting my invitation to talk this evening. And man, let's just get into it. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Simon, I'm doing great, man. I'm looking forward to this.
Good.
I love the title.
Yeah. Sometimes have coffee. I, have a drink or two every now and then with it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
my concept was, just, have a drink sometimes lets people just kind of relax without, being, tense and whatnot. So,
absolutely. Well, I mean, I do drink wine
yeah,
and beer, so
yeah.
uh, but yeah, I have a coffee right now.
Hey, if that's
It can work for this.
that'll work. That'll work.
All right.
Thank you for doing the show, man. I appreciate
No
it.
condemnation from me about that.
Nice. So, all right. So, where are you at in life right now? Are you still doing blood good? I will say that
No.
growing up, definitely had the first three blood good records. Kind of moved on to more extreme stuff after that, but hadn't listened to blood good in quite a few years. So, um, about 3 weeks ago, I was looking on Amazon and I saw you guys' documentary pull up. I was like, neat. So, uh,
Yeah.
went in and watched it. It was a great documentary. So then I was like, man, I haven't listened to Blood Good in years. So I just started listening to you guys again. Then I was like, no, I'm just gonna reach out and see if you'd be interested in doing the show. So,
Oh, I'm so glad you did.
and so are you guys still in the Seattle area, or have you, or where are you at?
In, I live in California. I live
Oh, right on.
in a place called Tulare, California, which is like Visalia, Tulare. It's just south of Fresno. Actually,
Okay,
close to the Crucified. What was the drummer's name?
Jim.
Jim. Yeah, I mean, I should look him up because we're about, I don't know, 35 minutes apart or something.
Awesome. Maybe come do some drumming for you because
Yeah,
he's
I've never met him, but I've heard of the band.
yeah.
It'd be cool.
Yeah, they're and else. I mean, he's doing everybody. I mean, he was playing with Deliverance at one time, and he was doing. Oh shoot, who else was he doing? Oh, I think he was doing. He's still doing the Blamed, which is their kind of hardcore punk stuff. Um, I think he was doing. I want to say Living Sacrifice, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But yeah, he's been all over, man. He's a super super great guy and an amazing talented drummer. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I should meet him. So
definitely.
you guys were talking about punk bands and stuff, which I'm not really uh, super well versed on. Here, let me turn that off. That's my. We are caregivers for Joyce's mama.
Oh, nice.
She lives with us, and she's a wonderful, wonderful lady. 100 years old.
How old?
100.
Wow.
She's 100.
Wow. They just don't make them like that anymore,
I know. Whenever she has to go for a blood test, I say, Mom, make sure they don't charge you. You should charge them because I mean, you got some special stuff going on.
Yeah, you lost 100. That's something special going on right there.
I think so.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a lucky guy to be able to take care of her at this point in life. But we are a bunch of old folks around here because I'm 77, my
Okay.
wife's 6, and Mom is 100. So I hope the house doesn't smell funny, you know, like
I hope I look as good as you when I hit 76 years old. I just turned 49 this year, so I'm like,
you look great.
yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, so is Bloodgood still doing anything? Writing new music?
No,
Anything?
when Michael, when Michael passed, you know that Michael passed.
No, I did not.
No, well, Michael passed 3 years ago.
And the bass player, Michael Bloodgood,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
he had a he had a stroke, pretty intense stroke.
Yeah.
And, but we thought he was going to come out of it, and then he got COVID, and I, you know, yeah. So he passed. So when he passed, um, I did. I told him prior that, and he told me the same. It's like if something happened to either one of us, we wouldn't continue as Bloodgood.
Yeah.
So I mean, I am the singer of Bloodgood. I'm the only singer of Bloodgood, and
Yeah.
I own half the band and everything, but I don't sell myself as Bloodgood.
Mhm. Well, that's great that you guys had that
Respect for
friendship
my
throughout
brother.
the years and had that respect for each other. You know, that's really hard to find those really core quality friends in life, 40, 50 years later, So are you
Well,
doing
Michael,
are you doing any music? Do you have a band at all?
yeah,
Or
yeah. Actually, I had a release, solo release. That's what I've got all this stuff on.
okay.
Like, this is my latest album right there.
Okay.
Shamelessly promoting it on your show,
Hey, do it. Do it.
Free Will. But I have an album 2 years ago called He's Coming. It was a solo album, and then
Okay.
I've got this one. And yeah, I've gotten some pretty good input from people. Uh, you know that
What kind
say,
of style are you? What kind of style is your solo? Is it
well, it's rock and some metal and
right?
ballads and stuff. It's a solo album, so I can do whatever I want, kind of thing. And
Exactly.
it's kind of cool.
Oh, that's
In the
great.
sense that it's great to be in a band, but you're always talking to three or four members, and yeah. So with this, I'm at least able to take my years of experience, because I started when I was like 15,
Mhm.
just kind of take my whole life and my lyrics and my, the changes I've gone through and all the things that I've learned
Mhm.
and kind of say, you know what, I don't really care. I'm just going to put everything that I feel is me into it. But it is cohesive and it's got a theme to it.
No,
Album guy. I was raised on listening to albums and not just singles.
I agree. I'm a huge vinyl collector.
Yeah,
Not only the way I think vinyl sounds, but I think it's great because you're forced to listen to the record. You just don't skip. You kind of, it's an
yeah.
experience.
Well,
So
back in the day, Simon, we would get together and when a new album comes out, we'd all just go to the guy with the best stereo. And the
yeah,
thing was, you put the album on and like nobody talks.
yeah,
Nobody talks. When the album's done, then we talk about the album. But if you talk when the album's playing, it's like bad vibe.
no, I hear you. That's
Don't hear
that
that stuff.
that people do it that way because I'm the same way. If I have a band that I haven't heard and I buy something, maybe I heard something on YouTube, but I buy the album. I want to sit and listen to the album. Like I want to absorb the whole album before I reflect on it. And
Yeah, I'm
in the albums, there's been the hidden creeper tracks that you're like, this should be on the radio. Like what are they playing these songs for? These songs are way better than what they're putting on the radio.
Yeah, I know. But it's funny because Dark Side of the Moon, for example, I think the single was Money, it's a drag. You know that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That didn't sound anything like the rest of the record, but
So you're gonna hate me. I hate Pink Floyd. I cannot stand Pink Floyd.
hey, I didn't say I liked it.
Okay, okay. I always get that people that like,
Not that we have to think alike, but I'm just saying,
yeah,
I'm not like I liked that song, and then it took me to Dark Side of the Moon, and the only thing I remember was that girl screaming when I thought was, man, that was cool.
yeah,
But it's this huge, huge album.
yeah. It is.
And I've listened to it. I'm going, I, I don't really see it, but
Yeah.
obviously, a lot of people do love it, and it's
I
classic.
just, I'm in that weird era where, especially going to California, where I was exposed to so many good punk bands and metal bands and
Yeah,
thrash bands, and but also growing up in a very Christian home too. we listened to the oldies when we would be in the car. My dad wouldn't let us listen to, Striper or anything like that in the car. We'd have to listen to that in our room. But, I grew up listening to like Elvis and, Chuck
Yeah,
Berry,
me too.
yeah, I love that.
I'm probably your dad's age.
Yeah. But the whole, like, there's a lot of bands from the 70s that I just did not like growing up. And now as I've gotten older, I love Deep Purple. I used to couldn't stand Rush, and then finally went and saw him play with a buddy of mine when they came through Kansas City probably about 15 years ago, and I was like, why have I not listened to this band before?
Yeah, well, I mean, Rush is great, but I'm not. It's weird because I didn't really like Rush either, so maybe we're a lot alike.
Yeah.
But
And there's still like the bands I just don't like. Like I don't like the Doors. Like the Beatles, I dig their British Invasion kind of rock and roll stuff. Their 70s kind of, more Middle Eastern, kind of like hippie stuff, just not into.
yeah, well, I was a Beatle fan from the beginning, and I agree again. Some of the Mideastern stuff was a little bit weird,
Mhm.
but there also was a lot of stuff around that with this classic. So
Yeah.
Beatles, they've just got a sound that is somehow universal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, they're still having hits.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, hey, good
Yeah,
for them.
yeah, remixing them and everything. I want to ask you a question because my son my son passed away 12 years ago,
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
effectively, but I was 16 when I was born, and so we
Mhm.
were very close in age. He would have been 60 this year, and he died when he was 48. So anyway, so he had uh, like a tumor or something that broke off and went up into his heart.
Mhm.
Unexpected, kind of shocking.
It is.
But anyway, his best friend, Martin Krusel, worked for a punk band, and you're going to have to help me.
Did
Maybe
I?
something orange. Agent.
Agent Orange?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They're big, right?
Yeah. Big. I still think they're touring. I think they played the punk rock bowling in Vegas, the big punk festival they do every year. I think they
Oh,
were
okay.
part of it this
Yeah.
year. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're still touring, but yeah, they're legendary punk rock band. I think they started in the early 80s, I think 81, something like
Yeah.
that. 100%, maybe 79, but yeah, they're an amazing band. That's
Yeah.
great.
So my son's best friend, Martin, we still are in contact. But I guess he was their road manager and still is. He had a record company or not a record company, a record store up
Mhm.
in the Northwest. And then he moved down to near San Diego. But yeah, I just thought that would tie us together somehow.
Oh, that's neat. That's super cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, well, let me ask you this:
Altar boy.
what was the band before when I was watching your documentary? And obviously, you were in very very good professional bands before Bloodgood, but they weren't Christian. Um, what kind of style were you guys just rock and roll, or because I mean,
Yeah, rock. Pretty
Mhm.
rock, not metal. I'd never
Yeah,
done any metal until I met Michael Bloodgood, and then it was like, it was my son, Jeff, at the time was totally into metal.
nice.
And then I got saved and I was looking at his metal and I was going, oh, wow, okay, that's some demonic imagery there, So I just kind of got interested in that kind of music
Mhm.
after I got saved, actually,
Yeah.
and met Michael. And then we thought, you know what, let's do metal, but let's sing about Jesus.
Mhm.
And Michael had said originally he thought we would do like Led Zeppelin covers and change the lyrics. And I'd been in the business too long and done too many albums. And I said, no, I
Yeah.
don't think if we're going to do Christian music, it's going to be original. It's going to
Yeah.
be all about Jesus. And if they throw rocks at us, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I'm into now.
Well, I
So
mean, just my question with a lot of the bands that obviously there's influences and because there were no Christian metal bands until you guys were the pioneers of it, that metal sound came from something else, somewhere else. What were the metal bands that were the secular bands, even though you might not have agreed with them lyrically, but you dug their sound you know, like
I would say Ronnie James Dio, uh, Judas Priest.
Mhm.
When I when I realized, oh, I'm gonna have to sing some metal here.
Mhm.
So I started listening. Ronnie James Dio, I think, was like my favorite guy.
Yeah.
And then up in Seattle, up there, just about the time that we were doing this, Jeff Tate and Queensryche.
Mhm.
So Jeff Tate took lessons from the same guy that was giving me lessons.
Oh, cool.
So I'd be coming into Maestro David Kyle, and Jeff would be coming out, and I'd be coming in. But Bloodgood and Queensryche were, I think we even gave, high fives on the album credits or something back in the day.
Nice.
Lady War Black.
Yeah. Now, question in Seattle, I mean, did you guys have a really pretty decent, either metal scene or even Christian scene? Because everything was so new and being, I mean, the stories from Southern California, I mean, everybody was in California, you know what I mean? So when you hear about bands like you guys up in Seattle, then like, Secret Warrior from Chicago and whatnot, that maybe weren't in the thick of the heavy movement with like Striper and Neon Cross and Barren Cross and Only Soldier, where there was a million places to play all the time. Did you guys find it difficult to get either shows, Christian and or playing with secular bands?
Well, the first concert that we did was in Bellingham, Washington,
Okay.
with Striper. We opened for Striper.
No, right on.
It was so crazy. It was so crazy because I was like, my son was going, well, Dad, I mean, okay, so what happened to you? You became a Christian. It's like, he was like, what? Because him and I used to, we weren't like total close and
Yeah.
smoke weed together, and just like a total hippie guy and a rocker, and I had no sense of any kind of religious thing going on. And I'm still not religious. I just have a relationship with God and through Christ. But anyway, it was weird because my son was saying, well, what am I supposed to do now? Listen to Petra? And I said, whatever. I don't know. I don't care, Jeff. I'm just telling you, something happened to me. I mean, I had an encounter with Christ. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. So, but I do feel like, I should get in this metal band and do Christian stuff. Well, the crazy thing about it, Simon, is that it wasn't just Striper. It was Bloodgood and it was Barren Cross.
Yeah,
It was, I mean, there were metal bands Christian metal bands, Leviticus, that happened all over the world, all at about the same time.
Yeah.
And all of us thought we were going to be the first one ever.
Yeah.
That's how, it wasn't like, it was like this huge surprise. What? There's other Christian. And one day my son comes to me and goes, hey, look at this band I got from Southern California. They're called Striper. They're heavy metal. I'm like, oh, awesome. Yeah. And I get a call from from an agent. I used to be really tight with the Heart people up there. Their road manager, Dick Adams, really loved Joyce and I and what we were doing. We had record deals and stuff. And he heard that I was Christian and he got a hold of me. He says, do you have a band now? And I said, yeah. He says, I know you're a Christian. Do you have a band? Because we have this Christian band coming. And who's going to open for them? I mean, we don't know any Christian rock. We've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
So they came out to see us audition, and we were doing Accept the Lamb, and they saw us. We did one song, and they were like, okay, you're in. So we opened for Striper in Bellingham. The next night we opened for them at the Paramount in Seattle, and it was packed.
Nice.
And Time Magazine was there. And I mean, it just was crazy. Mm-hmm. And there was this whole thing that just moved. And we did that. We did a demo, sold about 5,000 demos of a 4-song demo that we did. And Frontline Records got a hold of us and said, we'd like to sign you guys.
Yeah. Now, that's when Jimmy Kipner still owned it, correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know that Adele Meisenheimer from MMI, she owns all the Frontlines, or I don't know if she owns all the catalog, but she owns the rights to most of the Frontline material.
Yeah, I think it got sold to a guy, I forget his name, Buddy somebody.
Yeah, he was a big guy in Nashville, man. He worked with like Dolly Parton and
yeah.
He was a heavy hitter. And,
He bought
I
the
mean,
whole catalog.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then when he passed away, I guess the catalog was just kind of there, and then somehow, or she made a deal with the family and acquired it, and then started, I guess
Yeah.
like 20 years ago now, started
Yeah.
releasing all the stuff on CD and vinyl, and
Yeah.
reproducing everything. So
Had she not done that, nobody'd even be talking to us today. I mean,
I don't think so. I still think the there's the
there
people
was
who don't care.
there was very little distribution, and then Gerder music and Rock's music and
Mhm.
Matthew Hunt from Boone's Farm, Overstock. Those
Yeah,
three people, they started to distribute hard copy, and I mean, it just kept going. It kept going.
yeah,
So
yeah.
even today, Bloodgood gets, I don't know, gosh, maybe 10 or 15,000 streams a month on
Really?
Spotify.
No, that's
And
great.
yeah,
Well, let me ask you this on your documentary, and I've heard this from many other people that were involved in the Intense frontline label, that you guys didn't speak very well of the label at the time, you know, and that's kind of, I understand business is business, but when as a young kid, you're a Christian and you're listening to Christian bands and you're trying to support the Christian bands that you like, then to hear later on that really wasn't that much of Christianity going on in that realm, and it was just more of just like they didn't treat you guys so well, and I've heard that from quite a few people I know quite a few guys that were on that label for a long time.
yeah.
So hopefully Adele is hopefully
Adele she's amazing.
yeah,
She's totally straight, wonderful.
yeah. So
And even in yeah, we went through a rough patch, but has nothing to do with Christianity at all. It had to do with business, and Christian labels are a business. It's not a church, it's a business. And but when I got saved, ideally, the way that I felt in my experience with knowing Jesus,
mm,
it's just sort of, more the book of Acts, like, just kind of un, yeah, not religious at all, really,
uh,
for me anyway.
yeah,
It was just this thing that happened to me. And so I'm very enthusiastic about Christ, but I'm I don't represent churches or the Western movement of Christianity. As a matter of fact, when I first got saved, I really felt that the Lord directly told me, and I mean this not audibly, but
I hear you.
I feel that He said, I am not going to raise you up in westernized Christianity.
Mhm.
And so I never went there. I mean, I was saved and wasn't even in a church. I got saved, we were in a bar. We were working in a bar, and we hired a Christian keyboard guy. We didn't know he was Christian. And after 2 weeks with this guy, I'm going, what's with you, man? You're different. You know, hey, you want to go out and snort some weed? Or I was,
Yeah,
you know, no, he goes, no. I'm like, okay, you want this, that, and the other? No, no. And I'm thinking, what's cool about this guy and what's different about this guy?
yeah,
And I asked him, and he said, well, I have a relationship with Jesus. I did the Michael Jackson moonwalk, backwards, thinking, oh my God, I didn't want to hear that.
yeah.
And then I thought to myself, well, why did I do that? I mean, he mentions the name Jesus, and I, you know, back up
Mhm.
after I was drawn to whatever he had or whatever.
Mhm.
So I thought, well, maybe there's something to Jesus. So that's what happened to me.
Yeah,
And I was like 36 years old. I'd been, we had records. Joyce and I had records released all over the world, and
Mhm.
we'd been on TV in Europe, and we toured with Hair, the Broadway musical, and
Hmm.
I'd done a lot of things in my
Yeah,
life, and just about any and everything I wanted to try, I tried.
yeah.
You know, so I'm guilty of everything. And so when I got born again, it was a Cecil B. DeMille thing. It was like a big production.
Mhm.
I mean, I definitely got changed.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't like I was raised in church like you, and then, this is a bunch of crap.
Yeah,
And It wasn't that for me. So my perspective is just is what it is.
No, totally. And
And
you know,
and,
if
and
more people came across it like you're coming across, um, it would be a much different scenario. I mean, because again, you know, like if my story is, you know, grew up Assembly of God, you know, got back, you know, accepted Jesus, you know, when I was like, you know, 5, lived that kind of life. But just for me, as I got older, you know, reading the Word, it didn't seem divine to me. It seemed written by men. It seemed like there was so many rules in this book that if God was real, that this was not somebody that I would want to call a God or be part of his salvation or
yeah,
part of his family, because you know I think definitely Jesus is a different scenario. Like I think that if Jesus was a real person, he actually had some very crazy, you know, not crazy, but like, you know, very radical ideas for the time that he lived in. And I
no
think
doubt.
that, you know, there's a lot of great things that I think Jesus did say, but the whole divinity of it, the raising from the dead, the healings, all these things just sound just so suspect, especially when you know look through history and you see how many stories the same have been told over and over in a different culture, from Horus to Mithra to Krishna. You know, they all had, you know, Horus was, you know, 5,000 years ago, born of a virgin, star of the east, walked on water, healed the sick, restored sight, crucified, dead for 3 days. You know, so it seems like, you know,
Oh,
throughout.
I wonder where they got that.
Exactly, exactly. And who knows
Let me tell you something.
before that, you
The
know?
history, the history of the Jews, they were writing things down when people weren't. They were writing things down
Mhm.
meticulously. That's why you read so and so begot so and so begot
Yeah.
so and so. There's Muslims that have gotten saved because of that. Going, wow, these guys are well documented. So there's no doubt about the historical Jesus or even the crucifixion and the resurrection, because outside the Bible there were things written. But aside from that, when we talk about things that are rules and you know, like the book of Leviticus, I mean that's ridiculous.
Mhm.
Oh my God, you know, you read that and I I used to read that when I was a young Christian and go, wow, this is harsh.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until later on as I'm doing my own walk with the Lord and reading the word. It's not about the rules that he made. This is an observation of what they were doing. They were screwing animals, they were screwing each other, they were doing, you know, they had sex with their father's wife. I mean, he was just saying, don't do these things. This is what he's not saying, these are part of my rules. He's saying, this is what you guys do.
But then on the hypocritical
So
side,
that's a
look
big
how he
difference.
played it. Well, look how he made King David, who, you know, with Bathsheba, who was his best friend's wife, who, you know, David basically kept sending his best friend out to get murdered so that he could lay with his wife.
Absolutely. That's
But
what
then
I'm talking
David,
about.
what's that?
Simon, that's what I'm talking about.
But
There's
then
not one
David
hero
inherited
in the
the
Bible.
greatest, you know, greatest of all. But then, you know, if you're not King David, then you know you're screwed because you're doing the same thing. You know, I
No,
mean,
no.
where's the equality for everyone there? You know,
But here's the thing. If I may humbly say, this is
totally.
just me. But the thing is that what I notice about the Bible is there are no heroes. As a matter of fact, they're a bunch of losers. I mean, Moses murdered a guy. He kills the guy and he runs away for 40 years. Okay. You know, David was a murderer too because he sends the guy out and he was an adulterer.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like, oh, he's one of the heroes. He's one of the,
yeah,
uh, Abraham would, you know, he had sex with Hagar. That's why we got the whole Middle Eastern problem because they got Father Abraham as the father of the Arabs too.
yeah.
And so, you know, and Saul was killing Christians and who became Paul the apostle. So here's the deal. No, it's actually a very accurate historical account of these people. And all these people of the faith that are the heroes or whatever, the ones that are a bunch of losers like the rest of us.
Yeah.
There's only one that was righteous, and it was Christ. So there are no There are no other. I mean, I think that God just clearly said, look, you know what? There's only one way through heaven, and that's through Christ. So all the other stuff, all the other stuff, humans have been doing what they've been doing since day one. They've been shaking their fist at God and trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong. And Jesus simply says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And he's the one that was
Yeah.
killed, crucified, buried, and rose again. So, and
But
all
then
of
why does the New Testament, if we're going by God's divine word, which is supposed to be the Bible, then why are there 4 different accounts of the Old Testament or in the New Testament of the resurrection? That again, there's no, nobody eyewitness. It was written 30 to 100 years later, and then interpreted by politicians and priests and everything.
yes.
You know what I mean?
Again, let's forget all those people because all they are is a bunch of guys like you and me, a bunch of guys that have, our perspectives and all that.
Mm.
At, on a human level, if you and I were on a corner and all of a sudden there was a car accident and something happened and blah blah blah, and somebody said, Les, what happened?
Yeah.
Look at, well, I saw this guy come over here and then this guy took a left and man, I heard him honk his horn and it's fun. Now, you were there and you said, well, I actually saw them hit.
Yeah.
And okay, so we're both telling the story. We're telling the story about an event that happened, but your story and my story are both true, but from different perspectives that were, there. Those gospels were written by people that were actually with Jesus. John was with Jesus, Luke, Mark, they were with him and they told a story. But if you tell a story, even my wife and I telling a story about a vacation that we took, we're looking at each other longer and happened to me.
I hear there's going to be little inefficiencies that don't.
So what I'm saying about the gospels is the story is the same, told from different perspective, which is normal, natural, and more real than if everything coincided with everything else. Because that's not even reality.
Yeah, but if you look at a court of law when people are going and testifying, and you have the same people recounting, and I'm not saying people don't make mistakes, and playing the game of telephone. You say one thing, and it's something different. But there has to be something to be said for the integrity of somebody who knows what they know and know what they saw. And we're talking in this sense, not in a realm of a biblical sense. But like if you and I, okay, we both are again on the street corner and we're talking and having a chat, and we saw a guy run out of the convenience store and shoot the guy. We both saw him, and then we're in a lineup like that's the guy. There's not going to be a well, was he wearing a red shirt? If we both like that's the guy, then there is truth in that, other than just not my perspective.
Again, there's truth in the Gospels because of the exact scenario you gave. But here's the thing. I like what we're doing.
Yeah.
But when I hear things that are like, somebody will say this, well, it was written by these guys, or and it doesn't coincide, or this seems to be, like almost what's the word? Diametrically opposed what he said or whatever. And actually, the kinds of things that I've learned from following Christ is that a lot of things that appear to be aren't, and a lot of things just end up being truth or not. And so, I don't know.
But again, I think
when I put anything
defends their point, I mean, I get it. You're a believer. You're a staunch believer. Because somebody like me who was a staunch believer at one point in time, that would have been with right alongside with you. But then my belief curved to a non-belief, and I don't think there's anything wrong with your belief. I think that's great. You have that for you, and that whatever you get out of it is an amazing thing. I get something completely different from being an atheist. I get something completely different. You see freedom and salvation and Jesus. I see salvation and freedom in myself, to where I don't need that person. I don't need that deity to get me where I need to go, because I believe this is the one shot I have at this life, and
I hope.
make it the best.
I really hope that you're right.
And that's the thing, if I'm right, I'm right, but we're never going to know. That's again the thing that just kind of, it doesn't irk me, but it's like the vanity and of any faith, and not just Christians. I'm talking Mormons, Catholics, Muslims. Everybody says, I know the truth. I know what's going to happen, and we don't, because we haven't gotten off this ride yet. We're still on the roller coaster.
Well, not everybody says that. Not everybody says that. A lot of people say it when they speak out of just what they just speak because they
Yeah.
know something. I don't think so. I think that Jesus, if you as a figure, a human figure that was here, that walked this earth, there's no doubt about that. And the word does say in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God, and the word became flesh. There's only one guy that could fit that, actually, and that would be Christ. So he's the plumb line.
Yeah.
And I know that all people have a tendency, and I'm not going to say all, but most people have a tendency to go with what works for them in any given situation.
I get that, but also me walking away from faith wasn't just an overnight thing. It wasn't.
No, I'm sure it wasn't.
It wasn't like I woke up like, getting on there, I'm out of here. It was a very long, scary, painful at times, journey from being young and accepting everything to having questions of my own.
Yeah.
Looking for things of my own, not finding the answers I think worked for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, there's flaws in everything. There's even flaws in myself. I know I'm not perfect.
Oh, come on.
But
now you're really stretching.
But for me, it's like, it's the liberation of not having those, what I believe, chains of any religion, made me more free, gave me more clarity to where I could make better decisions.
What if you could have both?
What's that? I'm sorry?
What if you could have both? What if you could have a relationship with Christ?
Yeah, I'm not opposed
and didn't have to go to church and didn't have to follow a religion.
Yeah, no, and
okay,
I agree with
let me. I want to tell you a story real quick.
Sure.
When I was 9, I think, living up in Seattle, and my parents would take me to the Baptist church on Sunday. Reverend Amrine. I went to, I was there in Sunday school, and I loved the idea of Jesus and going to church, and I loved Jesus like you when I was young, and so I'm 9, and I had a bus driver that would take us to school, our little public school, and this bus driver was, I don't know, she was a woman. And, she'd drive us to school. Well, one day I find out that Reverend Emrine is not there anymore. And I'm going, well, why? Well, he ran away with the bus driver.
Yeah.
So I'm 9 and I'm going, whoa, this is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm 9, okay? So I'm out. That's it. I'm out.
Yeah.
Jesus.
A funny, similar kind of thing, but a little bit different. When we moved a few times when I was a kid, so if we weren't living in California, we moved to Colorado Springs a couple times, and my mom and dad started going to a very small church at the time called New Life, and then as years got big, and then we moved back to Colorado Springs. New Life was one of the first mega churches, and it was the pastor was Mr. Ted Haggard, if you know that name. Ted Haggard. This is back in the early. He was the basically spiritual advisor to George W. Bush. He ran the evangelical, like he was the top-notch dog in the evangelical something.
Yeah.
And he ended up having one of the biggest falls where he came out where he was having, gay sex with the prostitute up in Denver.
Yeah.
And I remember going to church and he was very anti-gay, very, this is a combination, and my dad would sit next to me, and my dad, I think, just kind of went to church because my mom forced him to and didn't want to hear it from my mother. So I'd sit next to my dad, and my dad would be like, don't listen to this, son. This love is love. It doesn't matter. Like, this is, like this, he's wrong about this. But then, I'm at work, and my dad calls me, he's like, turn on CNN. And so I turn it on, I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? It's just, there's so many of these stories happening. And I know because we're human, because we're fallible, because we're not perfect. But I think that, the power that comes with people in positions in any kind of, what, religious, political, economic, whatnot, man, I think it really brings out some of the worst in people. And we see it so much in how many religious figures have we seen in our lifetime fall from grace hard, the ones that are,
Well, look at the Catholic priests, with the young boys and stuff. So, Simon, again, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
To me, it's a bunch of crap.
Yeah, I agree.
But and it's not all crap.
No,
and not everybody knows.
Tendencies of faith. I think.
Remember the heroes. Remember David. He was balling Bathsheba. He shouldn't have been, and then he has her husband killed, and he was the apple of God's eye. So now, so Ted Haggard, is a gay guy doing this and that, and Jimmy Swaggart is telling you this, and he's got the big salami going down, whatever.
Yeah.
So it doesn't change who Jesus is.
No, it doesn't change.
It's not. It changes
people's perspective, especially when any kind of faith is better. When you disappoint people, especially when devout people,
yeah.
There has to be, there's going to be some sort of shakeup or rebellion. It's
yeah, and it was not going to go well.
Yeah,
it's not going to go well with people in those positions. As a matter of fact, the Bible says those that are in those positions will be judged much harsher than those that are not. So, I don't know where that guy's at now, and I pray that he made it through or whatever, but that's not who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I am saying,
post that, they moved back. There's a couple documentaries on HBO about it, and they're sad. I never thought that Ted was a bad person. You know what I mean? He was always a very kind person, except for this one thing. But he got busted at the church. The church basically made him and his family leave Colorado. So it's funny. Nancy Pelosi's daughter did a documentary on him and followed him around for a year, and they were just moving to house. He was trying to sell insurance, and and my heart rang out to him because he basically said, he's like, the way I could never be myself or tell the truth of what I was or what I was going through, because what I feared exactly happened. I was exiled. I was kicked out of this. Everybody's abandoned me, and then, but then after it's over.
So clearly, let me tell you,
he's in a different church. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, I get it, man. Like in one part of the thing, he was telling me, he's like, I just don't want my family to be poor. And I know going back to what that makes you a living will always be your first instinct. I get that. But again, it's like,
I probably shouldn't have tried to get back into the ministry after that. But here's the thing. I have, when I was in Hair, the Broadway musical, there was 15, this is back in 1970, 69, 70, 71, 72. Back then, there was 15 guys in the show and 15 girls. There's like 30 in the cast. 2 of us were straight.
Yeah.
All the other guys were gay.
Right.
And it was like, I was young. I was 20, 21 or whatever. And I just wanted to be I just wanted to sing and act in a show and do my thing for it. But they would fight over me because I was pretty. Oh,
no, I hear you. My brother-in-law is gay, and when we got to the gay clubs, I'm what's known as a jungle gym, because I'm 6'6" and I'm a big guy. Gay guys.
Oh, okay.
I get it, man.
Have mercy. So they would fight over who was going to carry my luggage, and but it was different then. It was different because they were in the closet. They didn't just openly talk about it, but they were theater people. So, and we did openly talk about it,
Yeah.
and we were well aware, and it was not a thing. And I was one of those guys who was like, "Hey, which one of you queers is going to get my luggage?" And they were, and they would do it. I didn't mean it with any
Totally.
animosity towards them. When I say I love those guys, I didn't love them in a gay way, but I love those guys. They were my buds, and we got along great. And I don't have anything but respect for people. Whatever if you want to do that, to me, it's rather uncomfortable. I mean, I would think
Yeah.
having a gay, you know, but
But do you
it's
really
not.
think those people are broken? Do you think what the church is teaching today that they're flawed? That's not what God, because how can love be wrong? If you really love somebody and you're doing
I'm
the
not
best
saying.
for
I'm
them,
not saying that's wrong. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying
oh,
that
okay.
if they do that, if they find themselves there is no difference between uh, homosexuality, you know,
Mhm.
or adultery. Sleeping with another man's wife is just as bad as being gay in the eyes of God. Anything that is not, the righteousness of God you know, before the garden and the fall of man or all that, who knows what we would have been doing. I
Yeah.
mean, as far as there's no good or evil, it's just God and relationship. But when that took place, then we had a fallen world. So all kinds of stuff has happened.
Oh,
But
definitely.
in the eyes of God, he does not hate anyone, any people, and gays or lesbians or bisexuals or adulterers or murderers or pedophiles. They are all welcome into God's kingdom,
Ooh, that's
Christ Jesus. Listen to me. Through
I
Christ,
hear you, but that's a hard one, man. That's a hard one because
hold
putting,
on,
and I'm not
hold
trying
on.
to be rude, but putting murderers and pedophiles in the same sentence as these people, it's like,
No, that's just one sentence of sin. Not those were
okay,
distinct.
okay, I see what
Has
you're saying.
nothing, no connection
Okay,
other than sin. It's a sin connection.
all right. I was
Not
like,
a no, 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 no. See, that's the problem. The enemy gets in there and goes, yeah, this is what he said. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that all sin, all of it is sin, period. That's it. And
I don't believe in sin. I think there's
okay, and
ethics. I think there's things right or wrong. I'm saying I don't believe in sin. I think that and I don't believe in morals because I think morals is a biblical, it's a religious term. I think of ethics. Like, is it ethical to sleep with your wife or sleep with your best friend's wife? No. Is it ethical to kill somebody? No. Is it ethical to steal? No. But I understand, the moral aspect of it, where if I'm starving and my kids are starving, man, and I got to do what I got to do. If I got to steal some food for my kids, I'm going to do it, even though I'm going to know it's wrong and I'm going to feel bad about it.
yeah, so what does that have to do with Jesus?
But my thing is that because of the sin, if I don't repent, if I don't through, and this is maybe a different version than what you believe, but what I was brought up with, once you sin, unless you throw yourself at God's mercy and ask for forgiveness and change your ways, then I'm damned to eternity because I have sinned. Because even though I don't believe I've sinned, I
Yeah,
know
to me,
something wrong.
that's a very shallow teaching. It's a very religious teaching. It's like it's just
But you
uh,
seem like a very cool, enlightened guy. And this is what a lot of church teach. You know what I mean?
because it's a lazy way, and it's like throw this and see if it sticks. It's just the easy way of saying. It's like when it's like when your dad says, "Oh yeah, you know what? If you don't do it my way, then get out and wait till you pay for your own." Then that's none of that was Jesus' teaching. I mean, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just lazy humans being throwing stuff at it. I brought you into this world, I'll take you out. All that
Yeah.
kind of language. You're not going to amount to shit. You're this, that. You're nothing. Don't you ever be. That has nothing to do with Christ. It does have a lot to do with teaching in the world and also teaching in the church. It just seems like We just don't do that. Well, what's the explanation behind it? Well, you know what? If you go directly to the actual source himself, going back to my line of sins,
Mhm.
the actual source said, I came to pay for those sins. I knowingly came in the flesh and died on a cross and paid by a blood sacrifice, because in the spiritual realm, nothing advances without blood. That's why he came. That's why he died. God, literally, incarnate God, came, died on a cross, poured his blood over all those sins that I mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And paid for it. That's it. He didn't say, now I want you to get out there, start up some churches. He didn't say that. He said, go and, tell everybody about me.
Mhm.
Tell them about what I've done. I've overcome the world. I've overcome death. I paid for the sins of the world. Last thing he said was paid in full. So I'm only talking about him,
Mhm.
and I can't help but
Why,
be.
why do I owe him anything when he created this? Or
You
is
don't.
no,
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 you
but I'm just saying,
don't.
like, but I'm just saying, in the Christian realm, it's like, you know, God can do anything, So, I mean, he knew if he's omnipotent and knows everything, he knew when he started this experiment called human, how it was going to go and that this would have to be the way it would have to end for us. So then why do that? Why put us through these things? Why put us through these tests and put that on us when I would,
Okay.
you're a father, I'm a father. I would never do anything intentionally to put my children through extreme circumstances just to see if they love me,
Yeah.
or that they
So
needed me or
right,
anything.
and that is a that I've thought that myself as well. But what did he do?
He
He
died.
comes, no, he
Oh,
comes
yeah.
as a child. He's raised here, comes
Mhm.
as a child. Everybody's wanting to kill him too, by the way.
Yeah.
And he comes as a child, and he makes it all the way up to 33, right?
Well,
But then he's God. So he chose the most brutal time in history. When he's the beginning and the end, he can come in anywhere he wants, but he comes there. And all of these things that you talked about, who would want to see this? Actually, he went through all of that. I mean, they beat him bloody, they spit on him, they drug him through the streets naked, they nailed his body to a cross, and when they did it, they slammed it down. They were cruel to him, they spit in his face, and he was the creator. He was God in the flesh. And so God allowed his own son to go through that.
but he
Okay.
didn't have to.
But he did. No,
He
he
didn't. If
did
he was
have to.
God, he wouldn't have had to make any of that happen because he's God. I mean, it's that old thing like, can God create a mountain he cannot move? It's one of those juxtaposition like questions, and it's like, well, he wouldn't have had to do this at all
Did
if.
he do it there?
But then that's my question. Why put us through these tests? I mean, what
Because
what good
because
is giving a 4-year-old leukemia? You know what I mean? There's really horrible things that for me,
yeah.
when I really started walking away from the faith was probably my freshman year in high school when we did a comprehensive study of World War II and we got into the Holocaust era,
Yeah.
and we were watching this documentary and about what was going on in Dachau and all that, and just horrific things,
Yeah.
perpetrated by a madman. And that's where, what I was trying to say earlier, like, if there's room in heaven for somebody like Hitler, I don't need it. You know what I mean?
He didn't make it, I'm sure.
Okay. But my thing is that, you look at the Jewish people and, and what they went through. And then when they were, the end of the documentary that we were watching was the guy who was filming it was in one of the bunkers where they were, stacked up and sleeping. And a Jewish gentleman who passed away like a couple days after they liberated one of the camps had carved in the wood on the wall, if there is a God, he should get on his knees and beg our forgiveness.
Uh-huh.
Those are and those God's chosen people. You know what I mean? So the question of me looking at that going, man, if these are God's people and he would allow these people to go through this, for what reward, for whatever, for me, a sadist kind of attitude, you know, it
No,
just,
Simon, I'm totally with you, bro.
yeah. And you
There's
know,
nothing,
where I love this show
you,
because like
you
I love that
haven't,
we're able to talk and it doesn't get, you know,
you haven't said one thing really
yeah,
I don't agree with,
yeah,
except that Christ is who he said he was.
I hear you.
That is the only thing. And if I could ever do anything to persuade you to just go to him and forget all the other stuff, you're never going to forget the other stuff. But listen to me. When I say this, I sincerely hear everything you're saying, but Jesus is innocent.
But if that's where I disagree because if he's one of the gods, God the Father,
Well, he's not one of the gods. He is God.
Well, yeah, God. Okay, God, Trinity God. You know,
yeah.
He's okay. Let me ask you this: are you familiar with in a juxtaposition of the story? You have God, and then you have Lucifer. Okay, have you ever heard of the religion Luciferianism?
I may have heard of it.
It's not Satanism. And again, you know, I've argued this with a lot of, you know, the Christian aspect of it, where the Church of Satan from Anton LaVey, they do not look at a literal devil. They don't believe that he's a real demon. It's a very atheistic thing. They're just using the devil as kind of a middle figure to Christians. You know what I mean? They don't believe in a real devil. But anyway, Luciferianism is a concept like yin and yang, where when we were in the garden, Lucifer showed up to us and said, you know, do not be a slave to God, eat of the tree of good knowledge, and you will become God and know what God knows. So there is a sect of people that believe that Lucifer was actually the savior of humans, where we were not to be. Well, I have my notes. The essential characteristics of Lucifer is not seen at the devil, but as a symbol of enlightenment, independence, and liberation, where Lucifer is revered as a symbol of knowledge, personal growth, liberation from traditional constraints, where he basically said, you don't have to be under God's rule. You can be of a God. You could know what God knows and basically be free of tyrannical oppression because you're subservient because you're not aware of what God is aware of. It's very esoteric. I mean, and that would have to mean that you have to believe again in the.
I mean, I don't know that I don't know that there's as much. I don't know that there's as much proof as the Bible has. I mean, you know,
it's a concept. I mean, it's a concept. I mean,
it's a weird concept, and it's okay, fine, beautiful. But so is Star Wars. You know, that's fun. I love that, but it's not real. You know, Satan is real though, because Satan was Lucifer. And Jesus spoke about Lucifer in the scriptures and saw him fall from heaven. So he's a being, and there are beings, there are spiritual beings, there are angels, there are angelic, and there are fallen. But a lot of people don't know in Christianity too. They don't teach a lot of stuff that's really there. But there was a time when actually in heaven, it says right in Job that Satan came to the Lord and said, let me test this guy. I'm thinking, well, according to church I go to, you know, heaven's here, the demons are all in hell. That's not, he's actually in heaven.
Yeah, talking to God. Yeah.
Like, you know, heaven is a place. And so Satan went down, took a right on, you know.
Boulevard, he was up in heaven.
He went right in, had an appointment with God and said, let me talk to you about Job here. And then God goes and says, hey, you know, I'm telling you, this guy is for real. He believes in me. So you go ahead and do whatever you want. You can't kill him. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. Now, me as a follower of Christ is going, hey, Lord, why would you do that? And
pretty messed up. The story of Job is pretty messed up, man.
And then, you know, Job's beautiful family's gone. And that, you know, the guy gets the raw end of the deal. I mean, you've read it. And still, he says, though he slay me, you know, I still know that he's God, see? And the perspective of God compared to the perspective that we have when we talk about life and death and those sorts of things, when the guy was on the cross with Jesus next to him, he said, I tell you this very hour, you're going to be in paradise with me. When my best friend dies, so my son died, I got born again because I felt the presence of Christ with me, knowing the grief, being with me. It was like, Lord, he became even more real. I'd already followed him all these years. And I was like, he was like there again with me. And so I'm saying that all of those things are there, but God knows I'm going to take your son. He's gone. I prayed that he'd be risen. But you know what? I'm going to take him to paradise with me. And that little guy with leukemia that, died at 4, he's not going to hell. He's going to the Lord. The Lord takes people to heaven, a place where what we all want is. That's where we want to go. That's the kind of life we wish this world was, but it's not.
Yeah.
This world is fallen, it's broken, it's nasty, it's cruel, and it's evil, but it is not Jesus. Jesus is Jesus. And he's.
I don't think it's Satan either. I think it's us. I think it's humans.
I know you think that. And I'm not trying to say anything, Simon.
No. And the thing is, man, I appreciate honesty and brutal honesty because I'm going to give it. I'm brutal with respect.
You're brutal, man. You're brutal, but I'm telling you, I'm fighting for you because here's the deal. Look, I don't care what you think or what books you read or what your philosophy has come based on your life experience. I just would implore, I would beg of you to say, listen, Lord, if you're real, will you show me who you are to me directly? Me. Let me know that you're real, because I'm running around here saying you're not. And if you're not real and if you have no place for me, then you're not going to show up. Sure. But if you sincerely ask him, Simon, forget everything else, and you sincerely go as Simon, someone he loves and has loved since the beginning of time, and you go and say, all this stuff, I just want to know the truth. Are you the truth? And if you are, will you please show me? That's it. That's it.
I
can't do anything else.
I've done that several times through my life, and I'll tell you why I would never do it again. Because the last time I did it was my little brother Taylor, who's 10 years younger than me. He is the best human being in the world. I love this dude. He is a man I wish I could be. He is sweet and hardworking and kind, and him and his wife had their first son, and he was born with a lot of complications. I mean, within the first 10 months of his life, he had 7 surgeries. I mean, he was respirator, feeding tube, and they didn't even think he would make it till a year old. He made it till he was 15 months, and he was getting worse. They had to make the decision to not feed or give him water. And at that time, I went to God. I said, if you just help my brother, if you do something for his son, not for me, selfishness, not for me, but for my brother, who still to this day goes to church and loves Jesus. And I'm like, boy, man, that's for me, that's a hard pill to swallow. But I went and I prayed, and I was like, God, if you will do this, I will believe. Save this boy, and not only for him, but for my brother and his wife.
The testimony is in your brother. The testimony, listen, but you said this. You said that he's the greatest guy.
But he was before that too.
Right. He's the greatest guy.
Because of this, he was already that guy.
But he has the right, of course, to still go to church and still believe in Jesus.
Totally. I have no problem. Just for me.
I know.
But also, I mean, I grew up a lot different than my brother. I grew up on the street. I grew up, doing, for me, I don't believe in turning the other cheek. If you come at me and harm me or harm my family, I'm going to destroy you. You know, I don't believe, I do believe in forgiveness, but forgiveness is not just immediate with me. You have to show and earn my forgiveness.
Yeah. Well, no, if somebody breaks into my house and tries to harm me and my family, especially my family, and I have no choice but to kill them, I will kill their ass.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And it has nothing to do, again, that's just their problem.
That's survival of the fittest.
We're going to have to die.
Yeah.
That's
not that I want to do it, but I will do it to support.
No, but I want to say this about your brother, who is my brother. He still loves Jesus. This because he knows something about Jesus that I want you to find out. That's all. You can't negotiate God. You can't say, if you'll do this, I'll do that. That's not
maybe I said that wrong. It wasn't like, if you fix him, I'll be. I was just like, it was just like, show him. You wanted mercy. You know that I would know that you had mercy.
I know. I get it. I know that. I understand that. But I also know that he's crazy about you, and he's going to change his mind. But he can only do what you do, because there's only one thing that can't be forgiven, and that is to not receive or believe in the one that God gave in the beginning. You know, so when it says,
I thought it was rejection of the Holy Spirit. Is that what's that? I thought the one
blaspheme the Holy. That is it. That's it. And not believe in the one God sent is the only sin that can be forgiven. It just can't be forgiven.
Yeah.
You cannot not believe in Christ. If you don't believe in Christ being God in the flesh, died, rose from if you don't believe that.
So then at this point, can I not be forgiven because I feel that?
I didn't say that.
No. That was a question. I'm just saying, if that's the thing where I'm rebuking the Holy Spirit, where I don't want anything to do with that, and I'm rejecting that. So then, have I committed the ultimate sin where I'm never, you know, I'm like, I'm sorry, I messed up, you know.
Do you believe that Jesus was God in the flesh?
I do not.
Okay, so that would be the one category.
Yeah.
That would be the one category that I would go, well, that, you know, it's like, you know, some people are in open borders. Well, you know, heaven does not have an open border policy.
I hear you.
You must believe in Christ to get in here. Okay?
Hey, I was a bouncer at Club for you. You gotta have the ID to get in, man. Without the ID, I can't let you.
You'll agree with the decision, but you're not dead yet.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, you told me you're never going to do that again. And I'm saying, well, why do you make an exception? You know, because you talk to me and I seem pretty convincing because I really, truly am real. I'm real.
You got that wisdom. You've got that look of wisdom on you, you know?
It's because of what I have learned along the way, really seeking him and not being condemning of anybody else around us or around him. Jesus said it about himself. He has no condemnation in him. He is not a condemning God. He has no condemnation in him. We condemn ourselves. We have a way. He's given it. So again,
the church is really, really doing it wrong. Then I mean,
they are. Amen, bro.
You know, I the church because the church condemns everything. I saw this on YouTube the other day. I was looking around for something, and
thank God it's not Jesus.
Yeah, no, I hear it. And it's just greedy men, but it was this pastor, I think in Mississippi or something, where he was challenging, you know, all of his constituents to give $2,000 because they needed to do something. And this one lady walked up there, and she was able to give $1,200. And he looked at her, and this is the pastor one. I said $2,000. I didn't say $1,200. Like you have no faith. Like she's like, this is all I have. I'm giving you everything I have. And I'm just these people need to be pulled out into a field and shot.
I think he's going to be one of those guys surprised.
Yeah,
he's going to be the guy that goes, "But Lord, we did a miracle," and Jesus says, "Dude, I never knew you."
Yeah.
No, this is and so please don't put that on him. because that's not on him.
No. I put humans on humans because
Yeah,
we are a very stupid species. You know what I mean?
it's pretty crazy that people do that. And yeah, that's just, I mean, and there are a lot of stories like that.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so do you know, have you ever heard of Jeff Fenhold?
Yep.
Do you know Jeff Fenhold?
I do not know him personally, but I know he lied.
About what?
If he's the guy I'm thinking of that claimed he was in Black Sabbath for a long time,
He didn't say for a long time. He just
or
said
he was,
he rehearsed with him or something. But anyway,
we went and saw him in camp up in Ojai when I was probably like 16 or 17. And I remember talking to him because I was I was never a big, I've never been a big Ozzy guy. I've never been a big Black Sabbath guy, but I think Black Sabbath with Dio is
yeah,
phenomenal.
yeah.
Heaven and Hell is one of the greatest metal records of all time.
Yeah. Do you know that?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were talking and he was like, oh, yeah, like, I was doing this tour. So, I mean, then come to find out years later, he didn't really, maybe I have my information messed up.
Well, I mean, Jeff Fenhold was um, the reason I'm sort of inside with Jeff Fenhold.
Okay.
When I was in here, he was my understudy.
When you were
I
in
was,
Yale?
I was in hair.
Oh, hair. I'm sorry. I thought you said Yale. I'm like, you went to
No, I was in hair.
Yale,
Did I say hell? I was in hell.
man?
No, I wasn't in hell. Don't want to be there. But no, I used to be in hair, and he was my understudy. And he auditioned for Jesus Christ Superstar, and he got it. And he was flown to New York, and he opened in New York
Yeah.
as Jesus. And I went and visited him there, and he was messed up. I mean, he's a messed up guy. He was, playing Jesus on Broadway. He was on the cover of Time magazine. But I'll tell you, his voice was killer.
Okay.
That guy, he's one of those voices like you go, duh. I mean,
Yeah.
he was great. And anyway, so he said to me, he says, dude, you should have been Jesus because you're a much better actor than me. And I said, well, whatever, I didn't make it, you did.
Yeah.
And but he said I would be up on the cross in the show and I'd be drunk and stoned out of my mind,
Mhm.
just done the show. And he said, I had no regard for God. He was being flown to Salvador Dali's house.
Yeah.
He was moving paintings back and forth. He was
He was
really
living the artistic dream in the 70s, man.
he was
He was living
married.
hard.
He was managed by Robert Stigwood, who managed the Bee Gees. So when he got his contract on Jesus Christ, he got offshore oil rights in his contract. He he had everything going for him, but he was a total loser
Yeah.
when it came to drugs and all this. And then he got born again. And so I don't know about him.
Was he in Black Sabbath at all then?
He was he was in he was in one of those situations where you send a demo tape where you meet with somebody or that. I don't know that he actually said that he was in the band or toured with them, but he had some sort of an opportunity to step
Yeah, 'cause
into
I
that.
remember him telling me specifically it was Ozzy, then Dio, then they did one album, and then he left the band after an album and a tour.
Well, he didn't do an album with Black Sabbath.
Yeah. No, I remember him
But he
preaching.
may have, but I remember back in those days that if you went in the studio and I mean, who knows? He probably went into the studio and
Maybe
did
the
some stuff.
enforcer or some weird.
I've had guys that came in and rehearsed with Bloodgood one day and said they were in the band, and they were, for a day, or they were, I mean, Larry Farkas was in Bloodgood one night. I mean, he was him and I
That's
did.
great. Larry's a great guy, man.
But he wouldn't be lying if he said he was in Bloodgood because he was. So I'm not. I mean, Jeff was wild, a wild guy. I mean, he was even as an evangelist, he was like, whoa. man, he getting your face on.
No, no, totally. I mean, like I said, I
But
mean,
let me tell you about his story. When he was in Hale with us in San Diego, he
Mhm.
went to a church. This is before Jesus Christ Superstar. And he had his long hair. And he goes to a Pentecostal church in San Diego. And he goes to church and he's there. And the pastor says, whoever wants to accept Jesus, just come forward and bow at the altar and, we're going to lead you to the Lord. Well, Jeff goes down the aisle, goes towards the pastor, and the pastor goes, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "I want to accept Jesus." And he says, "You cut your hair, come back next week, and then we'll see if you want to accept Jesus."
Yeah.
Jeff went, "Well, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's
No,
just
totally.
an accurate
Yep.
story here. And this is what Jesus, or what he said to the pastor. And so
Yeah.
now Jeff Fenholt was rejected by this pastor. He's coming to the Lord.
Yeah.
Now, you think that was Jesus or was that some
No, that was
pastor?
I mean,
So again,
yeah,
Jeff found his way to the Lord
yeah.
and he did get saved and he was saved and he's with the Lord now.
Oh, is he
But
dead?
he's dead, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that.
We missed it out on these Christian guys.
So,
Miss Markle, do you know the drummer for Barren Cross just died?
no, I didn't.
Whitaker, about maybe 3 days ago.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like growing up, obviously, my parents let me listen to, and I'm not, I was always ashamed when I would talk to guys going, I had to listen to Petra. I've re-listened to a lot of Petra stuff, their old stuff. Man, they were good. They were a good band. I mean, they were middle of the road white bread, but I mean, like I consider them like listening to Journey. You know what I mean? Like,
They were good. No,
yeah, they were good. I mean, Fired Up and This Means More are two. I mean, they're fantastic records. Beyond belief. I mean, they're good stuff. But
yeah.
um,
I want to tell you. I mean, okay, because I got to tell you, because this is a great show. I want to say, Bloodgood, when we did Detonation, we were like, when we got to Cornerstone, that tour, and we'd been out on the road doing Detonation tour. When we got to Cornerstone, we were received like rock stars. Like you hardly believe it. I mean, we were shocked. We couldn't even get out of our RV. There was Beatle time. They wouldn't even let us. It was like, we couldn't even get through the crowd just to get to the dressing room and it was like, and I was going, wow, okay, well, that's not what we're here for, but it's amazing. Then the next year we were in Cornerstone, but I think DC Talk was the thing.
Yeah.
Nobody would even give us the time of day. I mean, it was like, whatever. Now, that's weird to me because the world, when you make it that big in the world, you're a superstar for the rest of your life. Don't matter.
Yeah.
My Sharona is still a hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if those guys come to town, we're going to go see them.
Yeah. I hear you.
In the Christian
world, like, the music, like when I first found Stryper was like, I was 10. It's right when Tell With the Devil came out, but I didn't get that album first. I got Soldiers Under Command first.
Yeah.
And Real on Black Attack. And then Tell With the Devil. But then that was my first, because other than that, I was listening to Petra and Carmen and, and I will say, I got to interview him and he's still one of my favorite artists as a Christian. Steve Taylor, I love New Wave.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
He's really good. And he's a for real believer.
Yeah, he's super kind, man. It was a great interview. But when I found Stryper, it was like, yeah, again, I'm 10, it's 86, Motley Crue's huge, Def Leppard, the hair shit. It's awesome. That's, what I grew up with. And then, yeah.
Yep.
And then, but by the time I got like, 11, 12, 13 is when I started listening to more like real hardcore punk and thrash, found Suicidal Tendencies, and they're still my favorite band of all. The Crucified and Suicidal, if they had a Christian counterpart, and I love the Crucified, I love Suicidal, but then I found Vengeance and Deliverance.
Yeah.
But then also I found Slayer and Metallica, you know what I mean?
My son loved Vengeance.
Yeah. Such a good band.
he loved him. Vengeance Rising.
You know, oh, totally.
So, yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing. It's like, and don't get me wrong. In the years I was listening to Stryper, it was also, you know, Barren Cross and Bloodgood, and I had to put on their album the other day, and I always kind of cringed because I bought it at a flea market. And I found it Shout's first record. Ken Tamplin from Shout.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this still rock and roll. It's good stuff. Yeah. The only one band that I bought years ago, we bought their catalog and had to go, oh, I can't listen to this. One Bad Pig.
Oh.
They're a punk band. Doug Van Pelt from Heaven's Metal was in the band. I didn't know that until I interviewed Doug. And I kind of put my foot in her mouth and I was like, because especially growing up in Southern California, like I grew up listening to punk rock, legendary punk. Like from my hometown, there's 6 legendary punk bands from my hometown, you know? And yes. Like, yeah, that band sucked. Dude, like, oh, that's my band. I was like, oh, sorry, dude. But like, it was just like the worst poser. Like, it'd be like trying to, you know, say like Undercover was punk rock. It wasn't. It was not punk rock at all, you know?
Yeah.
So, but just for me. So, I mean, whatever your taste is, if you like it, you like it. But like, you know, and then especially listening to your guys' you know, discography the last, you know, couple weeks, I'm like, God damn, you guys were a good band. Like I'd forgotten. I remembered like I liked you guys, but like, yeah, like for me, I think Rock in a Hard Place is my favorite record. I think the production suite, the writings is a little bit more mature and not so chaotic. I think it was just that record that just hit for me. Dead Nation was still great. Out of the Darkness I liked, but Rock in a Hard Place for me was the record that I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to. And if you know they're selling you guys this stuff on vinyl now, I'm gonna go buy some tomorrow. So
yeah. Well, they do. They are selling it on vinyl.
Cool.
It's actually. Have you heard Dangerously Close? With
that's the thing. That's my next plan when I have free time in the next couple of weeks when my wife's healing and whatnot.
Yeah.
Headphones, and I have not heard any Bloodgood past Out of the Darkness, because by '89 I wasn't listening to hard rock metal. I was listening to you know, speed metal and grindcore and death metal and like, you know, that kind of stuff. So
I mean, the thing interesting about Dangerously Close, it's the last Bloodgood album that we did. It was in 2013, and we had just finished it. We went to Germany and toured, you know, and we came back, and my son and I had been, you know, actually stuffing envelopes and mailing out the CDs and stuff. And when I came back from Germany that weekend and landed on the tarmac, I found out that he died while I was on the plane. So that whole album, we just kind of went, it just crushed me for a while.
Yeah.
And, so we didn't really push that album, but it was probably one of the best Bloodgood albums that was ever done. And Oz Fox and I wrote 3 songs on there, and Oz is on the album with us.
Nice.
So the 2 guitar players were Oz Fox and Paul Jackson, and it's really very interesting. So knowing that, you should.
I'll definitely listen to it. You know, and I'm going to go back and actually, you know, I want to start over and just listen to each record from beginning from Bloodgood for the first 3. I'd hit, you know, these 2 songs, like okay, hit this album when I had free time, but I actually want to be able to sit and listen to the whole from beginning till end record. That's, like you said, how I like doing it. I want to hear the whole record in completion before I, you know, move on to the next one. But I mean, you guys, I mean, vocally, you always reminded me of Bruce from Maiden. You had that very just power, that controlling of the mic, and even watching that documentary, man, when you would pull that mic about and you were still just hitting those notes, and I was like, God, yeah, you know, like there's some skill and vocal power in those pipes, my friend.
Thanks.
You know, but I'm also going to check out your self-titled stuff too.
Yeah, well, we have a brand new one. This one,
okay,
Free Will. There is a single out on Spotify called Free Will.
Okay,
it's got that, you know, it's my influence from early rock and roll, like Led Zeppelin and stuff. So you might like it. I don't know. Yeah. Led Zeppelin?
I respect. Okay, let me say this.
It didn't fall in the category of Rush, I'm sure.
No, I dig I dig the Zeppelin's music. I never liked Plant's vocals. Like I
Oh,
think their music is badass. And just his vocals killed it for me.
okay. So that's, that's, and there's personal preference. I mean, there's people that can't stand my voice.
Yeah.
I don't like that singer from Bloodgood, man. He's like, whatever. Well, okay. I
You know?
mean,
So
okay.
and when you guys were playing, like Cornerstones and whatnot, like who like did you ever guys find a Christian band that like, or even just a band? Who cares if they were Christian? That like you guys were like homies to begin with. Like we had fun playing with these guys. I mean, like, did you ever take another Christian band on like under your wing on the road? Be like, this is how you do it. Was there ever that band that was like the little brother to Bloodgood that like we're gonna make sure that we show you the right way to do these things?
Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't. Oh, well, there's a band now called Chaotic Resemblance
Okay.
was produced. And those guys, I think, they remind me of early Bloodgood. And I mean, they're powerful, but they are totally, totally sold into Jesus. I mean, they are absolute, the real deal. They're not doing it for money.
Yeah.
They're where I'm at with this, how I feel about Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm crazy about him. I
Yeah.
love him. So, but when Bloodgood toured Europe, there was a band called Leviticus that we got very close with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were they around the same time you guys were?
Yeah.
The thing, like
Yeah.
talking to so many of these bands, other bands now, like I'm hearing of bands that like when I was growing up, I'm like, I'd never heard of Leviticus. I'd never heard of Saint. You know what I mean? There's all these
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have no idea who the hell these bands are. But again, at
Yeah.
that point in time, I wasn't really listening to Christian music at the time. I was listening to other stuff. So
Yeah. I need like punk and stuff. So let me ask you again
yeah, no.
did you like the Police?
Oh, love the Police. Love the Police.
Yeah, me too. I
Yeah,
mean, oh my gosh. I mean, talk about a punk band that
yeah.
turned into,
But I'm a huge fan of early mod and ska and reggae as well. You know what I mean? Like I love the Jam. I love the Jam. The Jam is one of my favorite bands of all time. Like what that bass player could do on a Rickenbacker with a pick. Oh my god! You know what I mean? One of my favorite bands is an English band, Slade. I love Slade.
okay.
So yeah. I
What
mean,
about
like,
Bob Marley?
I have a lot of weird stuff, but like just like it's like a lot of the '70s stuff. But I love disco. I think the Bee Gees were awesome. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
me
I
too.
love Casey and the Sunshine Band, but I also love the Sex Pistols. So
So did you like Bob Marley?
oh, love Bob Marley.
Everybody does.
But I liked him better when he was Bob Marley and the Wailers as a ska band than when he did his reggae stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he used to be.
I just,
You know what Rude Boys were back in Jamaica with the suits and
uh,
the
yeah,
top hats and the very very suede suits. The skinny ties. He was a rude boy back in the day before he went Rastafarian. Yeah, yeah.
diarrhea of
They
yourself.
were they were a ska band, and I've been to Jamaica 4 times, and it's always funny. The first time we went, we were on the bus to our resort, and the bus driver's like, "All right, what do you guys want to hear?" I'm like, "Dude, play me some Laurel Aitken, play me some Toots and the Maytals, play me some Simmer Up." And he's like, "Oh, you like oldies?" I'm like, "Oh, I guess I do." They don't listen to that stuff. It was like Sean Paul and dubstep, and I can't stand that crap.
Did you climb the waterfall in
What's that,
Jamaica?
sorry?
Did you do the waterfall thing in Jamaica?
No, the Dunn's River thing.
Oh,
No,
Dunn's River. Oh, okay. I
nah,
did it.
that thing was like $100 a person. I was like, I already spent a ton of
I
money.
did it with my family. It was one of those. I had my daughter, my son, my wife.
Yeah.
The four of us did that. It was very memorable. So I just thought I'd ask you if you did it. But
No, we were in Ocho Rios, and we'd already spent a lot on a good butler room and our own pool and privacy. It was our first, me and my wife's 15th anniversary. So I went out like, I'm not spending more money. You guys get all the money I've already spent for you people. How long have you and your wife been together now?
uh, well, we met in Hare. We lived together for 3 years, and we've been married for 51.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
And we're both like, yeah, and we just did an album together.
That's awesome.
Actually, she's the engineer,
That's awesome.
and the album's really sounding good. I mean,
That's amazing.
I mean, I got I played it for played a cut for Brian Head Welch, and he went,
The dude from Corn?
"Yeah, he's a, he's a friend of mine.
No shit.
Yeah, he's a Christian."
Christian or not, tell him Corn sucked. Corn was
Yeah.
bullshit, man.
Okay, so anyway,
I hate that late 90s new metal bullshit. I Corn and Limp Bizkit.
oh, I'm not going to tell him that. You can tell him that.
No, I'm telling you right now, Brian Head P, whatever the fuck your name is, your band sucked. I wrote it for them. I did security for them at the Ventura Concert Theater
Yeah.
back
Oh
in
God.
94, 95 before they got huge. And back
Okay.
then I was like, what is this bullshit? This is crap.
Yeah, and they are so huge.
I
They
know.
they
That's my point. It doesn't mean anything. Americans have stupid fucking taste, man. You can
I
admit.
just listen. I like Brian. I am not a Corn guy because I
Yeah. Brian, you might be a cool dude, but your Corn sucked. I hated Corn.
okay. So anyway, Brian, that did not land heavy. How about Howard Jones from Killswitch Engaged? You don't like him either?
Nope. Too too made up metal. Whatever happened to metal with kids that just now if you want to listen to like the new breed of metal that's coming out, like kids like doing like Havoc and Warbringer and Hellhound and these kids, man, you would think these albums came out of straight 1987 to 91, and these kids and they're municipal waste. These kids are bringing the thrash, and it is fantastic. I feel like
see how old I am? Oh my gosh, I feel just so old.
yeah. No, I hear. I mean, these bands, but like, it's always funny when somebody throws on a new band. They're like, "Well, they sound like Slayer, but they're not as good." I'm like, then why do I want to listen to them? I'd rather listen to Slayer, who does it better. You know?
Yeah. Okay, so you're gonna listen to my new album.
I'm going to.
I'm sure that it's not punk, but it is my album. It is.
But also, you forget, I grew up in the hair metal realm too, and the hard rock realm. We're like, I like that stuff.
Yeah,
this especially being 10 years old and driving around Hollywood, and, dude, Poison and Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses and Trickster and all that stuff. Man, like that stuff is mother's milk to me. That's what I started listening to before I found punk.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna be curious, and you can be brutally honest with me. Right. I don't know if I want to go public though with it.
All right.
Talking to phone. It sucks. Okay. Okay. He goes, "Oh, I love it. Let's do another show."
Really? I'm down with it. And like I said, music is so. It's like I know like a huge band like I Fear Death Punch. I hate that band. I think they're unoriginal. I don't think they're good. I think they're just a produced band. You know what I mean? Like metal's got to have some balls to it. And it's got to have some heart to it. And if I don't feel the heart in it, it doesn't matter if you can carbon copy the sound.
Yeah.
I just don't care. My favorite extreme metal band of all time will always be Napalm Death. They started in England in 1982, and their current lineup, it's gone over the years. Every album is gold. Now, they've changed their sound, and they have done different albums, but they've never stopped being who they are. And that's what I respect about them. They've been a band 40 years almost. Them and Social Distortion. Two favorite.
Hey, what about Rammstein?
I'm not a big industrial guy. I like some of it. Cam FDM I like.
They're
three I dig.
Huge, right? I mean, they're just like their concerts just
they're cool. They're a cool show. It's just not my style of music. If I'm doing like hard industrial, like I'd rather see Ministry, or honestly, I think the Christians did better industrial than like Clank and Chatterbox, which is Jeff Ballou from the Crucifieds band.
Okay.
Circle of Dust, Argyle Park. I mean, there was a lot of really good industrial Christian bands back in the mid 90s that I think would take over if anybody gave them a chance on the secular realm.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a Nine Inch Nails guy. I've never have been. I think it's weak. I'm a Ministry guy because heroin and fucking industrial go hand in hand with that band, and I think they're awesome. But just I appreciate
is heroin the drug or heroin the band? It's
heroin the drug. Ministry, their best records is when the singer's been on heroin.
Oh.
It's
Oh, well, maybe that's why I'm so good.
yeah, maybe you've never been on heroin, but
Well, I
the
used to be on heroin.
military is
No,
no drug, no soul.
no,
So,
I used to shoot heroin.
oh really? Oh, shit.
So, I mean, not very long. I shot it a couple times.
Yeah,
Boom, bam,
yep.
whoo, went
As like
down. You
drugs were
touch.
drugs were never my thing. Like in the years, like I've smoked pot maybe 12 times, never liked it.
I'm not saying it was my thing either. I'm saying it was John Lennon's thing.
Yeah,
It was the Beatles and people did it. And so I was young and I went, well, I want to be a rock guy.
no,
So I
totally.
was, and I went there. So I'm just telling you how bad of a boy I was.
You're
And
right. Your vocals could say it all. And then the thing is, like, there is worth in Christian music. There is. I understand, especially being a young Christian. If I wouldn't have had bands like you and Striper and the other bands I got into, man, my life would have been horrible because I wasn't able to listen to secular music. My mom was strict, and she found a Metallica tape. We were in deep trouble. I mean, not just like you're grounded, but like we were in deep trouble. So I mean,
yeah,
we were able to have. So I'd go over to friends' houses and listen to their music, and that was the thing too. Like I always would bring my Christian cassettes with me and be like, "You're listening to Slayer? No, no, no. Listen to Vengeance. Check this shit out." You listen to the Motley Crue, man, Barren Cross, Bloodgood, Striper. And I think, and as much as I think Striper is so talented, and I respect the hell out of all those dudes, I think because Striper getting so big and being what they were, put a lot of hindrance on the Christian music scene because I don't know how to say it because I don't want to be insulting because I think they're fantastic. I think they're such a good band, but I think with the yellow and black and this and this and this and this, I just
yeah.
I don't think they were taken seriously, in the sexual realm. So,
I think that by now they have been taken seriously
yes,
because
back then, no,
no, but now they've outlived and outlasted and keep producing great stuff. I mean, did you see the release on Halloween?
yeah, it was funny.
I thought it
I
was
liked
pretty
it.
cool, actually.
Yeah,
I thought it was well done. It was a great song.
yeah. And Michaels can write a hell of a song. He's a
He's a great
fantastic
writer.
songwriter.
Yeah. So anyway, and Striper was never like for me. I like a lot of Striper stuff, but I back in the day, the early Striper stuff, I didn't really like it that much. I mean, I understood that a lot of people did,
Yeah.
but are you feeling like, I don't know. It's not me. So, and
They were
Bloodgood,
definitely more glam than they were metal. Definitely.
yeah. But over the years, they have been, I really respect them. I've seen them live and opened for them, but I've seen them live and just went, dang, they're good. I mean, they're a
Yeah.
good band. They're a for real band. Boom. That's all I got to say. And
Yeah.
Michael,
They're professional. They're talented. They're on it. They are on it.
and Michael and Oz sing so well together. You guys hear Oz and I singing together on Dangerously Close.
Well, if you would maybe then do me a favor,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to interview somebody from Striper. If you want to maybe talk to Oz, give him my info, throw me a bone.
You want to talk to Oz?
I would love to talk to Oz.
Oh, okay. Well,
Back to Robert, to anybody. I don't care. I mean, that's the thing. Striper was my heroine into Christian metal. They were the first drug I took into Christian metal was Striper. They were my first band where I paid for my own CD or cassettes, and my parents hated it. And
yeah.
they hated it.
Are your parents alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a weird dynamic between my folks because they're super, super evangelical and I'm not. So I'm not going to say it's a strain between us because I still love my folks, but it's just, obviously it's just one of the things. Me and my mom can always talk about anything, but my father, if like we were at a birthday party a couple months ago and, he had to start off his prayer with, well, God, please forgive my atheist son for being here. You know what I mean? It's one of those little jabs, you know what I mean? Like, and I love my dad, but also it's like, dude, just say hello. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Just me and my dad have a weird dynamic, but yeah, they're still alive, and I love the hell on my folks.
How old are they?
this,
You're too young to forget.
I'm so good at dates, man. Like I know birthdays and boom, 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 boom. My dad will be 74 on the 14th of this month.
He's younger than me.
Yeah. And my mom will be 73, 72 or 73 on St. Patrick's Day. So,
All right. All righty. That's great.
but you know, it was a weird
Where do they live?
house with growing
Do
up.
they live in California still?
No, they live here in Kansas City with me now.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All my family's from Kansas originally. Just when I was 5, we moved out to California. And then when I was 17, they moved back out this way. And then I came out to visit and kind of, you know, things weren't going well for me in California at the time. I needed a break. So I came out and started working in the shop for a while. And met my wife here and we got married. Then we went to Vegas, got married, and then moved back to California. And then we're there for a while, then moved back here just because I love California. I would move back to the heartbeat if I could afford it, but I just can't. So,
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
where's the other one? But anyway,
Well, I asked you, I threw you off because I asked about your mom and dad.
yeah. There's still, yeah, all my family lives here. My brothers live here. My sister lives here. But again, like it's just very strange because my mom was so heavy-handed when it came to Christianity. I mean, like, you know, you can't watch this, you can't watch that, you can't listen to this. You know, God forbid, you know, you find a Playboy in your room. Jesus Christ, that would have been like, you know, the ultimate sin that could ever happen. So there was a lot of
Leviticus. You'd have to have been outside the camp for 7 days.
shit. Man, you're going to fucking Folsom for 6 months.
You know, so here, she's your mom.
Well, I love her to death. Don't get me wrong.
She wanted the best for you. She wants you to go to heaven. She wants you to believe in God. That's all. I mean, she's never going to stop praying. She's praying for you probably every day.
I will say,
I show up on your show, so I might be.
If there is heaven and I show up there, man, I'm going to put you in a chokehold and give you some noogies and be like, "What's up?"
That was fun.
I'll see you here, did you? You know, but I will say the one true Christian I know, and if there is a God, there is heaven. She is there. Is my mom's mom, my grandmother Helen. She was the sweetest woman in the world. She loved Jesus. She loved church, and she loved everyone unconditionally. When she first met my wife, we got married, and we were getting in the car going to have dinner. And my grandmother looks at my wife and goes, and me and my wife have been married 26 years and been together almost 29 years. So,
yeah.
She looks at my wife and she goes, honey, do you believe in Jesus? And my wife was an atheist even before me. Yeah. And she goes, oh, Grandma Helen, I don't believe in Jesus. And my grandma said this in the way of not a judgment, not a, oh, really? But like, in the concerned way that like you love somebody would say. It was like, well, honey, how are we going to get to heaven with this then? Because if she was important to me, she was important to her. So therefore she wanted us all to be together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I do believe in Christianity, it was my grandmother.
Okay, so what I would like you to do, Simon, is connect a dot between what she said and me. That's it. Just do that. Because, honey, how are we going to be together in heaven?
I'll storm the gates. I'll be like, what's up, Dad? What are we doing?
Yes. And the Lord's going, all right.
Like,
is he there banging on the door?
Come through the feet on. What's up? You know?
Please remember what I just said, because
I do.
I saw that. I saw that statement connecting to my heart. That's your grandmother I've never heard of until this moment. And her statement that she gave your wife is connected to me.
Totally.
So that's it. I mean,
love it, but that's the thing. It's like, and this is why it's funny. Like, I get so many guys that will message me afterwards, and I think what I'm doing is important with this show. I think seeing both sides of everything is important, but also I think connecting. I think if we can, me the atheist, you the Christian, we can still connect and be buddies. That's what's important. I don't think for me salvation's important. I don't think eternity is important because I don't believe in it. But I think what I'm making here now on this earth is more important to me because I'm making a connection as a friend with you. And
Well, we certainly accomplished that.
yes, totally.
Certainly accomplished that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's where, but I think that's what we're missing, especially in this climate today, is everyone's so divided. It's this or this, and it's
yeah, and it's more divided now than ever in my lifetime. And I've had quite a lifetime. But it is, I mean, when I was young, it was like Dwight D. Eisenhower was the president of the United States. So I've seen all this stuff, and and this is just, it's crazy. So to me, it's like it's getting close to the return of Christ. And it could be another 2,000 years, but it just seems that we're all in agreement that the planet is in some crazy stuff right now. So we're all agreeing on that.
I agree.
And I would say, from my perspective, that would be that we're getting very close, that he's coming. And but dude, it's been really good talking with you.
I was going to say, thank you for your time, man. I know we kind of went a little long time and crazy, but man, Les, thank you so much, man. I'm going to check out your albums, and man, you were one of the funnest guests I've had in a long time, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate the music. I appreciate you giving me your time, sir.
Well, thank you. And you are very interesting yourself. And some nice tats there. What do you do? Run a tattoo thing?
I do. I'm a body piercer.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah. So I wanted to plug, if you guys need a tat, go see my man here, son.
No, actually, it's funny. I told a guy I did an interview with, I keep that separate because there's a lot of just mean people in this world, and I don't want people leaving bad reviews on my studio because of what I think in my personal show.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, then I take it back.
Well, if you guys are ever in Kansas City and you want a tattoo, man, I will make it happen.
I probably won't, but I'll tell you. I want to tell you one more story real quick. My friend that went to Vietnam back in the day, my guitar players, I didn't get drafted because I was already married, had a son. Right. I didn't try that. I wasn't trying to get out, but I was 3A and they never called me. Nice. But everybody in my class, a lot of my guys went there. Some of my friends came back with no hands.
Yeah, my wife's dad was a gunner on a helicopter boat in Vietnam.
It was horrible. But my one guy that was the guitar player, he was a medic. And he was putting this guy in a body bag because the guy had deceased. And he saw, as he's putting him in the bag, he saw a little kite behind his ear, a tattoo. And then there was a string going down, and he just started following it, wrapped around the guy's body, and it ended up on the guy's heel. And there was a little guy holding a string. Ah! That was his tat.
That's fun. That's so fun. I will say, I mean, my first tattoo I got when I was 14, which would have been 1990. And I still got it, and it is the Crucified's band logo, and I still have it to this day.
There you go.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I always tell people, like, people ask me, like, as an atheist, how can you listen to this or this or this? I'm like, because if it's good music, it's good music. You know, I say this a million times. I like Deicide. I don't believe in the devil. I will listen to Behemoth. I don't believe in Lucifer. So therefore, if your music resonates with me, it resonates with me. And, the Crucified was still one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah. Well, that's why I came to the Lord, because when I was being drawn to the Lord, that's when I saw the devil for the first time. Because he never was worried about me ever going to Christ. But when I started to go towards Christ, all of a sudden, I had this force of evil that came and was telling me, that's a lie. You don't need him. If you love him so much, blah, blah, blah. And he said some pretty crazy things to me. And it was the reality of him that made me believe in Christ more. So when you say you don't believe in Satan, oh, he's real. Because he revealed himself while I was being saved by Christ. So that's what happened to me.
Yeah. And you know what, man? I appreciate your honesty and your personal journey, and I appreciate your time, my friend. And if I'm ever in Southern California or we're in a place together, man, I would love to buy you a drink
We'll get together, bro.
and have a meal and just have a good time as friends, sir.
All right. Okay.
Thank you, my
So
man.
is this it? We're
That's it,
done?
man. Cheers.
Okay. Well,
Good
goodbye,
night, sir.
everybody. Nice being on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. Once it's
It's
posted,
fun.
I will send you the link so that you can share it with your friends.
All right.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
you.
you, my friend.
All right. Bye bye.